Hello and welcome back to more Films Under Constant Critique, where we take a look at films, some good, some bad, and some downright awful. I'm Bongo Baikov, joined by our host Maverick, Dren, Zaria. This week we're taking a look at the films From Dusk Till Dawn 2, Texas Blood Money, and From Dusk Till Dawn 3, The Hangman's Daughter.
Again, those titles. Especially Texas Blood Money,
That's a great one.
that should be the next Electric Boogaloo. When somebody comes up with does a parody sequel title, they should just say Highlander 2, Texas
Texas
Blood
Blood
Money.
Money.
Or Star Trek 2, Texas Blood Money. And yeah, when I was typing the second movie's title a few days ago, I almost wrote From Ducks Till Dawn.
That's a very different movie.
Which, yeah, honestly, I probably would have liked that more. But yeah, because apparently From Dusk Till Dawn needed to be a franchise.
And not just that, but the sequels needed to be weirder than the first movie.
Which, another thing, the first movie, From Dusk Till Dawn, already technically isn't one movie.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we need sequels, God, the Grindhouse 2, is that going to be a thing at some point? Imagine trying to do action figures for these.
That'd be really hard. Half of them would just be naked women.
And vampires. Okay, so starting with From Dusk Till Dawn 2, Texas Blood Money. This was released on March 16th, 1999. And it was direct to video.
Yeah.
Haven't had one of those in a while. When was the last one of those we had? Wait a minute.
Would it have been Max Headroom? Did we do any other direct to video after that? Oh, maybe the Hercules and Xena cartoon.
No, it was Alien Convergence. That would have been the last one.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
I don't blame you for forgetting. I will say this, okay. Hey, it was better than Alien Convergence. Okay. Now, I wanted to go into this one knowing just as little as possible. Because I wanted to be surprised. I wasn't even sure if they would have vampires in this, if I was to be honest. But... And then I found out, it's a heist movie, and then one guy starts turning into a vampire. Now, it was written and directed by Scott Spiegel, and he has been on our podcast before.
Oh, he has?
He wrote Evil Dead 2.
Oh.
And he also appeared in several Sam Raimi movies, including Evil Dead 2, and Darkman.
Huh.
And, I see a little bit of Sam Raimi influence on this movie.
Yeah, there's one scene in particular.
Okay. I don't remember. Wait. Okay, we'll get to that when we get to that. This did have a little bit of involvement from the makers of the first movie, though, because Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino were executive producers on this.
Yep.
And also on the third one. The cast... Oh, shit, I should have written some of them down. Robert Patrick.
He was in Copland.
Yeah, but he's the Liquid Terminator from Terminator 2, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah, he is in Copland. I forgot he was in Copland. And he even wears, the same sunglasses in this a few times that he did in Terminator 2, which is kind of funny. Dwayne Whitaker, what do I know him from? Oh, he was in Hobgoblins. And Pulp Fiction.
Oh.
And Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Huh. We've got Raymond Cruz.
Dwayne Whitaker was in Groom Lake, which was one of two movies directed by William Shatner.
Oh, no.
We should do Groom Lake at some point. That would be funny. Sorry, who'd you say?
Raymond Cruz, who played Tuco in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
That's right, yep. I remember watching this and I was like, I saw his character, I was like, wait a second, is that Tuco from Breaking Bad? And I like looked it up, I was like, oh my god, it is. Returning cast member, we got Danny Trejo.
Yeah, Razor Eddie.
And I believe he's the only actor who is in like all of the From Dusk Till Dawn movies. And he's also in the TV show, so he's like the only actor who came back for those. And we got a cameo by
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell. I did not know Bruce Campbell was in this before.
Neither did, and he has like the second line in the film. I was like, whoa, hang on, Bruce Campbell's here.
It was really unexpected. Like, I did not know. So he's another recurring actor on this podcast. This movie also features Kevin Smith, but not that Kevin Smith or the other Kevin Smith who was in Hercules and Xena. This is yet another Kevin Smith.
Why are there so many Kevin Smiths?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So, initial thoughts. It sucks. Your turn.
Yeah, no, it's really bad. But it's really bad, but there are moments throughout that just where it hits the so bad that it's funny level.
It did have a few moments like that, mostly because of the bats. Those bat special effects were just awful. So yeah, I like literally don't have much to say about this one.
It's just a strange film. Because all the acting is off. Nobody feels like they're reacting in the way that they should.
The only person I thought Robert Patrick was fine.
Yeah.
But everybody else was just, it was just okay,
it's got a, so the basic premise of the story is that it's a heist movie where the vampires from Dusk Till Dawn 1 show up, infect a guy, and then it's like a team of 5 people, half of whom are vampires, are trying to rob a bank.
It was a strange plot, and it probably could have been pulled off well, but it's just this is just not a well-made movie. Like, the directing's not very good. Like, the writing's not that good.
And I will say, unlike the first movie, because the first movie, like we talked about last week, the first half was a Tarantino film, the second half was a Rodriguez vampire film. This one's a weird Sam Raimi knockoff vampire film with heist elements throughout the whole thing.
That's what I was getting, was it felt like kind of a bad Sam Raimi ripoff or something.
Yeah.
Although I guess it's a heist, it's sort of like Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs with vampires. Now there's a movie right there. Just change Reservoir Dogs and then have it so like Steve Buscemi turns into a vampire. Okay, so just getting into I want to get this one out of the way really quick. So we start off there's a scene in an elevator and Bruce Campbell's there.
And I think he's supposed to be like a lawyer, and he's talking to like his assistant just about a case, and all of a sudden a bunch of bats show up out of nowhere and just maul Bruce Campbell. So he's making that good old Bruce Campbell yell the whole time, basically.
They basically just pulled a Congo and then went, okay, we got Bruce Campbell, let's kill him off in the first scene. Basically. Like, literally, it's the very first scene of the movie, and Bruce Campbell dies.
Yeah.
And the special effects on the bats, they're bad.
They're really bad.
Yeah, they were great. Like, just so great. I was laughing at this scene, even though I don't think that was the intention. This is just It's just a bunch of bats in an elevator attacking him, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, just because the first movie doesn't do that.
No.
The first movie, it's like just this slow like build up, and then vampires just show up in the middle of it. You're just like, oh, bats.
And it turns out this whole scene is just a movie playing on the TV.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Robert Patrick is just he's just fucking this woman in like a motel.
Well, no,
or something,
he hasn't even started yet. He stops because the TV like goes off. Like he loses the TV signal.
And then like the one of the few lines I wrote down, he the TV's like having trouble working, and the woman she like says, "Looks like the only thing working around here is me." And I'm like, "Oh, for fuck's sake." That's another huge problem with this movie. Okay, the first one, it's not a great movie as far as like plot and characters go, but the dialogue definitely helped
Yeah.
elevate it. This movie does not have very good dialogue. Like, very just. I don't even remember most of the lines from this movie.
There really aren't any that stick out in this one.
The acting's pretty bad too, especially from what's her name.
Well, she's not around. She's not around for most of the movie, thankfully.
True, yeah, but like this scene, I was like going, that's some pretty bad acting right there. And basically, the plot is Robert Patrick. He's like trying to go straight. Basically, he doesn't want to be a criminal anymore. But then he gets coaxed back into robbing a bank. I don't remember this scene. He talks to a clown.
Yeah, no. So he talks to a clown at one point, which it just goes basically nowhere.
Okay, I figured.
But the clown was basically like, my wife left me, my truck broke down, I don't got a house, my dog died.
Okay.
And they have this weird conversation that lasts all of it. It goes on for a long time, but it has like no bearing on the story at all.
They were trying to do a Tarantino, basically.
Yes.
Except badly. And also watching this, I was realizing I can see why Scott Spiegel hasn't directed much. Because it looks about like what a direct-to-video sequel looks like.
Yeah.
Usually, except like there's maybe occasional points where he attempts to do a Sam Raimi type camera angle or something, except
there's one scene in particular that happens. But
it was making me appreciate Sam Raimi more. Watching
yeah, because he's able to do all this weird camera stuff, but make it work and feel coherent. It's not like you just gave a madman a camera.
One camera angle that was really making me laugh was when you meet Tuco's character.
Yeah,
he's just doing push-ups, and the camera goes up and down. Like it's from his point of view.
I forgot that one. We also find out that he's giving his dog steroids for dog fights. Just so that you know that they're bad people.
I was confused because he has this dog on like a treadmill or something. Like, what the hell is this? But yeah, like the beginning of the movie was kind of boring. It's just him, like he's getting his old crew back together, and then they head to Mexico, which... Why is it that all the movies we've done on this podcast that are set in Mexico, things never go right?
That seems to be the case.
Because we had, like, all the From Dusk Till Dawn movies that go to Mexico and things go to shit. Rambo Last Blood, they go to Mexico and things go to shit. Oh my god. These people must really hate Mexico. Another thing I was noticing is, like, a lot of the dark humor that was in the first movie was missing.
Yeah. it's instead replaced with things that I think they were trying to be funny with, but just weren't that funny. I think a great example of this is when they're in this motel. That they're in this motel together, and they're all just like casually watching porn on the TV with everybody in the room. And one of them starts complaining about how there's no plot or story.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's just like, what is happening?
And another guy is complaining that it's only been ass fucking so far, and it's been an hour. Which another thing, okay. That's a lot. No exaggeration. There's like extended scenes of them just sitting there watching porn. Like,
I know, it goes on for so long each time, but it's like, why is this important?
like there's that one guy who goes to like get his car fixed or whatever, and like during all that, it keeps cutting back to them just sitting there watching TV. I'm like, have they just been sitting there watching porn for like 5 hours? Like, what is going
I think
on?
they have because Raymond Cruz just goes insane at one point.
How long is that tape? Like,
So at one point when they're just chilling in this motel, Raymond Cruz starts talking about his cousin, whose sister like was shooting a porn film, and his cousin showed up with a shotgun and just shot up the place. And there's all these weird camera angles. It's like sometimes it's like a first person shot, like it looks like Doom. There's one point where he points the gun directly at the camera, shoots and shatters like glass on the front of the camera. It's such a bizarre series of shots that's in there for no reason.
what was the point of that scene? Like,
Because it again goes nowhere.
it's like that part in Nope where the monkey just goes on a rampage or something. Like, it's just like, why is this here? Like, it's. Although obviously that's a much better movie than this.
Yeah.
Probably goes without saying. But it sort of reminded me of that a little bit. And then meanwhile, there's this other guy named Luther who finds a bat in the radiator. Which that part kind of made me laugh. After that scene, I was just going, okay, if this could just turn into a stupid horror movie about killer bats, I'd be okay with that. Which it kind of does during a few scenes, actually.
Especially like that final scene.
Yeah. And then his car broke down, so Luther goes to the titty twister, and it looks about like what it did in the first movie.
Yeah.
Strippers and stuff. Danny Trejo is still the bartender.
He lived through the first movie, so that's good.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. He survived, or is this a prequel? Wait a minute.
No, this one takes place after.
They do mention the Gecko brothers, so it can't be a prequel. Yeah. That's weird. Or is it just like The Shining and he's just always been there? I don't know. But it's so confusing. Maybe there's like multiple vampires that look like Danny Trejo for some reason. He was replaced by a clone or something. I don't know. Just, like if you would listen to the records backwards, you can hear Danny Trejo is dead or something. But yeah, Danny Trejo gives him a lift since his radiator doesn't have bats in it. They find some dude out in the desert, and turns out he's a vampire.
Yep, and he was the bat that was in the radiator.
Yeah. Gosh, imagine that would be really cramped trying to be in a radiator.
And so Danny Trejo kills Luther, or he doesn't kill him, he turns him into a vampire to get back at him.
Well, I mean, you basically are dead when you become a vampire, but anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Danny Trejo just kind of leaves.
Yeah, he's not in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, he's done. He got his paycheck.
Dude, he's like going, "Oh, I got like 5 more movies I have to appear in." Because his filmography, it is ridiculously huge, I'm telling
Yeah.
you. And he's been making movies for a long time. Yeah, they're still talking about porn at the motel. There's a weird scene where Tuco like has sex. And then there were a surprising number of sex scenes during like the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
And then the woman goes to have a shower, and then she's stabbed to death while violins are shrieking. Oh, wait a minute, wrong movie. But this scene is clearly a Psycho homage.
Yeah.
They're like literally reusing like the same camera angles, except instead she's getting attacked by a bat.
By a really bad. Was it CGI? I think it was CGI.
I couldn't tell, so I think because sometimes it looked like a toy bat, sometimes it looked
Yeah.
like CGI. The effects in this are really bad.
And she just gets attacked by this bat and gets turned into a vampire.
So, I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. Where's Nicolas Cage when you need him? Oh, that would have made this a much more entertaining movie. Nicolas Cage is in it. That's the case with a lot of movies, though, to be fair. Rise of Skywalker was missing Nicolas Cage, I'm telling you. So yeah, Luther, he's been turned into a vampire, and he attacks Tuco. And his girlfriend also turned into one, and she gets out of the bathtub, which that sort of reminded me of The Shining.
Yeah.
The old woman in the bathtub, but yeah. And he just cuts her head off with a shard of broken glass. End scene. There's like this random scene that... What was this? Some woman gets attacked by a vampire and her face is pushed into a fan. That not only came out of nowhere, it went nowhere. Unless, was she a character in a previous scene? Because I don't remember.
Nope. She's basically gone, and then Luther breaks down the door anyway and turns him into a vampire.
Yeah, at this point I was like, just thinking like, okay, these other guys, they've just been sitting around watching porn for 5 hours while everyone's turning into vampires. Like, what is this?
And I guess they've watched enough porn at this point, and they decide it's time to go through with the bank heist.
Yeah. And at this point I was like, okay, can the plot finally get going? Because there's like no plot for like the first third of this. It's literally just people fucking around for 30 minutes. Oh, the license plate says, bite me.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Except it's spelled like BYTMEE. They mentioned the Gecko Brothers a few times, so there are some connections to the first one. Very minor, though.
Yeah.
It's not like, well... Then Danny Trejo's in it, but again, he died in the first one.
But then didn't, apparently.
Is Danny Trejo just immortal or something?
And we are then treated to the most boring bank heist of all time.
Yeah, it wasn't a very good bank heist. They like
because basically all we know is
the easiest break-in ever.
Yeah, Luther kills one security guard, and then they're just sitting around by the vault door for like another 30 minutes waiting and arguing with each other.
And then that's when they find out Luther is a vampire. And Robert Patrick and one guy, they try to run, but the alarm gets tripped. So, of course, cops surround the bank.
Yep.
And I was thinking, okay, this is something I've never seen before. Vampires trying to do a bank heist. I mean...
And you know what? The concept isn't bad. It's just the execution is not good.
They needed a better director and a better writer, basically.
Yeah.
Hell, they should have just hired Sam Raimi to do it. That would have instantly made it better. One guy gets thrown onto a telephone wire and gets electrocuted before landing on a car. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was a brief scene, but I don't know. For some reason, that made me laugh. I don't know why that was so funny. But there's this one guy who's sticking a sniper rifle through a Corona Extra billboard. And he gets killed by Luther, who stabs him through with the sniper rifle. Which, you know what that reminded me of? Was, I don't know if you remember in Halloween 4 when, Michael Myers, stabbed that one person with a shotgun.
I don't remember somebody getting stabbed with a shotgun. I've only seen that one once.
He just fucking up and stabs her with a shotgun. I think this is the one. If I remember right. And this is also the point of the movie where I'm just like, I don't care. I've stopped caring.
Because it's just incredibly boring throughout most of it until you get to the final fight, really.
And even the final, just because it was just turned into them shooting vampires in a bank, and it just wasn't very interesting. And then it's like, oh, it's almost daylight, but then there's an eclipse.
The eclipse was the funniest thing.
The vampires aren't killed because there's an eclipse.
So an eclipse comes, it blocks the sun for what feels like 15 minutes. And so it's like pitch black outside. And Buck just goes, "You gotta be shitting me."
It was kind of funny, yeah, but at the same time, that is a clever way to make it so the vampires do survive past
yeah.
dawn, I guess. There's more.
There's a couple fun things during the final fight.
One thing I thought was kind of funny was that we see the inside of a vampire's mouth when he bites a guy.
Yeah.
That's something I've never seen before.
And they're using crosses all over the place. There's 3 of them that are doing the shotgun lead pipe cross. There's one guy who closes the door to an ambulance that has a red cross on the back that he used to ward off one of the vampires.
I forgot about that. Again, I was just like, I don't give a shit. I just want this movie to end. I literally wrote in my notes, I was just waiting for the fucking movie to end. Robert Patrick stabs a vampire with a pole, and we get some awful CGI.
Yeah.
And some green blood. And yeah, they kill all the vampires. The gore wasn't even that great.
No.
It just wasn't that good. Although what's hilarious is the last scene, I was like, I actually like the last scene.
I know, the last scene is good, because basically the Texas Ranger that's been hunting down Buck lets him go and gives him a head start since they're the only 2 who lived through the vampire nightmare.
There's one line I liked here. He says, I suppose vampires need money just like anybody else. And I realized in this scene, okay, if this movie had more of these 2 interacting, I would have liked it a lot more.
You could have turned it into some,
because there was some chemistry
buddy comedy almost. Yeah.
There was some actual chemistry there, but no, it was just, you had this group of doofuses trying to rob a bank, I guess. Okay, so overall thoughts.
It's bad. There's some laughs you can get out of it, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't recommend this movie to anybody.
I'm gonna say, I was drunk while watching the first movie.
This is the one you should have been drunk for.
I wish I'd been drunk while watching this one. But I mean, it's a direct-to-video sequel, so it's about what I expected.
Yeah.
It's bad. I mean, the energy that the first film had is just not here. It really shows you how much Rodriguez and Tarantino contributed to that first movie.
Yeah.
Even though I do have problems with some of their style, but that first movie it did work. Like, it was an enjoyable movie. It had there was some, like, I felt like the two parts of the movie just didn't really go together, though, just because it's so random that they made it, like, a crime movie, and then it turns into a vampire movie out of nowhere. Like, it just didn't make sense, but it had a good dialogue, good acting. This did not have good acting or good dialogue.
No, it was bad all the way through.
I thought Robert Patrick, he was fine. Like, he was doing his best with subpar material.
But most of the cast was not good.
Yeah. It did have some moments that fell into the funny bad territory, though.
The realization that they've just been sitting there watching porn for 5 hours in the same room together.
Yeah. I was like literally just thinking that while watching the movie. Like, what have they literally just been sitting there watching this one tape for that long? The terrible special effects on the bats I thought were amusing.
Yeah.
And I liked the idea of vampires doing a bank heist, but it's just the writing, the directing, it's just not good. It was just a forgettable direct-to-video movie, and it would have been 100 times better if Sam Raimi had made it.
Yes.
Honestly, I think his style would have been perfect for a From Dusk Till Dawn movie.
Oh, yeah. He could, I feel like he could have done a really good job at marrying a crime movie and a vampire movie.
Yeah, because he's done crime movies, he's done horror movies.
Yeah.
He's good with dark humor. I think it would have worked. Certainly would have worked better than this, that's for sure. I would say this is about on the same level as the Darkman sequels. It's maybe a little bit better than The Return of Durant. Hell, it's not even the worst direct-to-video thing we've done on the podcast.
No, not by a long shot.
I can think of at least 3 others that have been worse than this. Hell, we could have been watching one of the Land Before Time sequels. That would have been worse. The Land Before Time sing-along songs. Gah, I shudder at that. Okay, do you have anything else to say about the second one?
Not really, no.
Okay, let's get to the third one. Okay, so From Dusk Till Dawn 3, The Hangman's Daughter. Again, these titles. Premiered at the Fort Lauderdale International Film Festival on October 31st, 1999. Before getting released in the United States, again, direct-to-video, on January 18th, 2000.
Hang on a second. What year did the second one come out again?
1999.
Oh, they really pumped these two out, didn't they?
They did, yes.
Wow.
January, wait, yeah. It was directed by PJ. Oh God,
I'm gonna say Pesci. Even though that's probably not right.
Like Joe Pesci. And he did Lost Boys, The Tribe. That might have also been a direct-to-video movie. I'm not sure. I think it was. Yeah, it probably.
Yeah, looks like it.
No, wait. That's another vampire movie.
Oh, wow. This man likes his vampire movies.
And he also directed the Sam Elliott film Desperate Trail. So, wait. So he did have some experience with vampires and westerns.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows when you're watching this. And one thing I was reading on IMDb, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently he studied directing under Martin Scorsese.
Huh.
from whom he received honors, and also under Brian De Palma, from whom he received an F. Lots of TV work, including episodes of the Tremors TV show.
I didn't even know there was a Tremors TV show.
I've never seen it. I think I've seen clips of it, but I've never actually watched it. It's hilarious how Tremors became a franchise, because there's like fucking what, like 7 or 8 Tremors
Something
movies
ridiculous like that, yeah.
and a TV show. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the Tremors TV show, it lasted 13 episodes. Aired on the Sci-Fi Channel. And he also did an episode of Under the Dome.
Ooh, the best Stephen King adaptation.
I thought Maximum Overdrive was the best Stephen King adaptation.
Well, that's not an adaptation, that's an original work.
It was based on a short story that he wrote, actually. So technically it's not an original work, but it was directed by Stephen King, though. Oh god, imagine Stephen King doing it From Dusk Till Dawn. And PJ Pesci, we'll just call him Pesci. PJ Pesci, he also appears as a man in the bar in this movie.
Nice.
So another director who likes acting in his own movies. Where have we seen that before? Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino were, again, executive producers.
Mm.
Oh, it was written by Alvaro Rodriguez, who is cousin of Robert.
Oh.
And he wrote episodes of the From Dusk Till Dawn TV show and Machete.
Oh.
All right, the cast. Which the cast, I was not expecting some of these names.
Yeah, there's one in particular.
Which you texted me like a few days ago, and I was like, yeah, I did not know he was in this either. Marco Leonardi, which he's a Italian actor.
Oh, that makes sense, actually.
Weird that he would be cast in this. He was in Cinema Paradiso, like Water for Chocolate. He's also in Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Okay.
And All the Money in the World. Michael Parks, who I was surprised that he's not reprising his character from the first movie in this. And we'll get to who he plays.
Yeah, we'll get to everything with this movie in a second, but...
Oh, and the big one. Django Fett himself is in this.
Tamara Morrison.
I did not know Tamara Morrison was gonna be in this.
So I know this is jumping ahead a little bit, but when I was watching, it's like for the first like part of this movie, Tamara Morrison's wearing a hood. And so like, you know, I didn't recognize him like at all. And then the second he took off his hood, I was like, hang on a second. That looks like Django Fett.
Doesn't he like wear a hood in Mandalorian as well?
Yeah, for a while. But it's not like an executioner hood, but...
Yeah, and he's also got scars in this too. So
yeah.
Like, yeah, in that.
Who knows? Maybe this is what he was up to after he got spat out of the Sarlacc pit.
Maybe. I could totally see that. Well, except he, we'll get to that. This is gonna make the Boba Fett timeline a little confusing. Throw that in there. Danny Trejo is back.
Yep.
Again. As the same character.
Yep.
He's like the only character that's in all three of these. And also the only actor who's basically been in like every iteration of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
He's probably even in the video game for all we know. Jordana Spiro, who was in all three of the Fear Street movies.
Ooh, my favorite series.
Oh, really? That's your favorite series? So overall thoughts. I don't know if you want to go first.
Yeah, this is a weird movie. A weird movie. It's got a weird setting, a weird premise.
Yeah.
Even compared to the first and second movie, this thing is strange. That being said,
It felt more
it
like
is
the
a
first movie than the second one did, though.
it does. And it's much better than the second movie, in my opinion.
I do think it's a little better than the second one, yeah. I was like watching, I was like thinking, while watching, I was really thinking, my only expectation was it would be better than Texas Blood Money, and parts of it were, and parts of it weren't. And again, I didn't know what to expect. Although based on the poster and the title, I kind of was getting a Western vibe from this. I wasn't expecting it to be set in the time period it was set in.
Yeah.
So I was not expecting it to be a prequel. I definitely was not expecting one of the main characters to be Ambrose Bierce. Or for Pancho Villa to be a character in this.
I was also a little shocked at how gory this movie got.
A little bit, yeah. My basic thoughts on it. Okay, I like Michael Parks in it. I like Tamora Morrison because he's he's Tamora Morrison. I mean, he's Jango Fett. I mean, most of the rest of the movie, I didn't really give a shit. I mean, the acting was bad, the writing was bad. There were good ideas. It was just poorly done.
Yeah.
I liked the Western vibe.
It was a very interesting setting, and it did help keep it different than the first two movies, which was good, I think.
I liked the Western vibe, but once the vampires showed up, it just became a shit show for me, honestly.
And the weird thing is, the vampires in this one show up even later than they did in the first movie. They're not really there until the last, 20-30 minutes.
A little bit later, yeah. The first movie's a longer movie, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because in both of them, they show up around the hour mark.
Mm-hmm.
Except that it's just shorter movie, so it feels like it's later into the movie than in the first one. I think if this had a better director, it would have helped a lot. Because again, I liked some of the ideas, but it was just not done well. That being said, yeah, after I had to sit and think on it, and after thinking about it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, it was better than the second one. Not by much, but it was better than the second movie was.
Something that I found interesting is they made a lot of the main characters just absolutely horrible people.
I mean, the first one did that too.
Yes, but, in that one, we can easily say Tarantino was the worst character, and he at least died. We got Johnny Madrid living to the end of this one, and he's pretty bad.
True, yeah. Then again, Seth Gecko lives to the end of the first one, so...
Yeah.
And he's not a very nice person, but... He is nicer than Richie, though. True. But yeah, right from the beginning, I was caught off guard because we get a title card about how Ambrose Bierce disappeared. And I was like, wait a minute. Now we're involving real people in these? I wrote, okay, so I guess this movie is going to be about him? Because there was part of me that was wondering, okay, maybe it was just one of those things. Because there's a lot of movies they'll just say some quote or some thing at the beginning of the movie to give an idea of the setting. And then it turns out, no, Ambrose Bierce is one of the main characters in this movie.
Yep.
And he's played by Michael Parks. And he appears right at the beginning, too. He's in the opening scene.
Yeah.
And he's in Michael Parks is in the opening scene of the first movie as well. So, again, different character though.
It's weird having a series where you get an actor to play just separate characters entirely.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like another example where they did that.
I was about to say Mad Max.
Yeah, Yuki's Burn. I know there's like some James Bond actors that they would bring back as different characters a few times. Like the guy that plays Blofeld in Diamonds Are Forever was one of Bond's contacts, and you only live twice, stuff
Oh,
like
that's
that.
weird.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for them to like bring back a former James Bond as like a main villain.
Pierce Brosnan with that beard could be a fantastic Bond villain.
Oh, I would love to see Brosnan be a Bond bad guy in a movie, or Timothy Dalton. That would be fantastic. He already sort of played a Bond villain in Hot Fuzz, so and in The Rocketeer. But yeah, the opening of this movie, again, we got off topic. Michael Parks, he gets executed by Pancho Villa, only to find out that it was just a dream.
Yep.
Which I was like, okay, that's weird.
And when he wakes up, there's this like girl just playing with a gun, basically, just spinning the chamber around over and over
got
again.
A gun. Janie's got a gun. I'm waiting for an opportunity to reference that. Okay, he's like in a bar, he knocks someone out. Or no, he knocks someone out, then he goes to a bar and drinks.
Yeah.
And he like basically wants to join the Mexican Revolution. They're like trying to tie. It's so weird that they did this. They decided to tie an actual person from history into this movie. Like,
do you think that in this universe that this is a shared universe with Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter?
oh god! Now that you mentioned that, oh, that's hilarious to think about. Ambrose Bierce was writing stuff during like the Civil War, so maybe that was such a weird angle for them to.
Yeah,
like it was making me wonder, like, okay, is this going to be based on an occurrence at Owl Creek? And I actually paused the movie and quickly read that story just to see if there was any overlap. But there wasn't, except for some guys going to get hanged. But they do reference that story though. They like mention it later in the movie. Although reading some of his stories, I was like, hey, that's kind of a strange choice. Like, because most of his stories are about ghosts, not vampires.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it make more sense if Bram Stoker was a character in this? I mean, just a little suggestion, That's such a weird choice, though. Like,
yeah.
Ambrose Bierce. Like, what's next? Are you gonna do like Friday the 13th movie and Mark Twain is in it? And again, this is a direct-to-video movie, and it looks it.
Yeah.
From like the camera angles and stuff. They pull out a guy to be executed and start whipping him.
The hangman's daughter runs up and tries to save him. She also gets whipped.
I don't remember why.
I think she's in love with Johnny Madrid or something like that.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, something like that.
But they never actually say it in the movie. There's never anything actually shown between them. In fact, she's pretty appalled by like most of the actions he takes in the movie.
Yeah. Well, romance doesn't make sense all the time, I mean, just look at Attack of the Clones. Speaking of Attack of the Clones, the executioner is Jango Fett. The hangman is Tamora Morrison, which I didn't know that, and he just takes off his mask. I'm like, wait a second, Tamora Morrison is in this?
And he's like by far the best character in the movie, too. Because all he just shows up and he kicks ass and then he moves on.
I was gonna say Ambrose Bierce was the best character, but yeah, he's a close second. They're basically the only two characters I gave a shit about in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, he like gets away from being hanged with the Hangman's daughter. There's fighting and shooting. They're like ride off on a horse. It was definitely trying to be a Western.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we haven't had any Westerns on this podcast yet, so here you go.
That's true.
Well, unless you count Star Wars. Sort of. Still, the alternate history angle that we're going.
It's a strange direction to take for a prequel.
Because it's a famous person that
3.
disappeared. Because Ambrose Bierce did actually disappear in real life.
Yeah.
And they don't know what happened to him. Like, imagine if they did one of these and, like, Amelia Earhart was in it. They're like, oh, she, like, crashed somewhere and then there were zombies.
The island is full of cannibal... that's actually a theory. I forgot about that.
Or fucking Jimmy Hoffa. Like, what could be some weird situation but Jimmy Hoffa in? Does he, like, end up in Haddonfield or something and Michael Myers kills him?
The Lindbergh kid.
The Lindbergh baby.
Kidnapped by zombies.
Oh, God. They did actually find the Lindbergh kid, though.
They did?
Dead. But yeah.
I figured.
Yeah. Jesus, why do we have to bring that shit up?
Actually, an alternate...
I guess that's this movie's fault for trying to, like, exploit, like, real life people's, like, tragedies. Like,
although I will say, a Jimmy Hoffa movie like this would actually be fantastic.
Usually, at least the movies I've seen, it's like Jimmy Hoffa was killed by, like, the mob or something like that, which makes no
I want
sense.
the one where he's killed by, like, a giant space worm or something.
Wait, that's a thing?
No, I'm saying there should be one.
Oh, okay. Are you saying we should write that and get it made?
Jimmy Hoffa versus the massive space worm.
Oh my goodness. The massive space worm. That's the title? Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the title.
That's a good title.
Quick, get Adam Sandler on the line. We need money.
Okay, you lost me with Adam Sandler. You had me until Adam Sandler. Kevin James is Jimmy Hoffa.
That's perfect casting.
Oh my god. This is also the point of the movie where I was thinking, you know, this movie would be a bit better if the title character and what's his name were more interesting as characters, because
yes,
they're really not. They kind of suck.
Because the only thing with Madrid is that he's an asshole, and not even really a funny asshole. He's just mean.
He's not like Han Solo.
No, he's not like Seth Gecko. He's like you actively just don't like this character.
He's just a douche and not much to him besides that, basically. Yeah.
Like this one moment where like this girl who wants to become an outlaw is following him. He's like, "Oh, you have to learn to live without fear." And he puts a noose around her neck and makes her stand on a cross and then just shoots the cross out from under her. Basically just hanging her on the spot there. For like no real gain or no real reason to it.
And another thing, the guy, he's supposed to be a threatening outlaw. But he's really not.
No.
He's not really that intimidating or anything. Or he's certainly not very charismatic either.
Did you notice 2 separate characters get kicked in the balls in this movie?
So I remember one of the vampires gets their balls cut off or something like that. But anyway, I don't remember the other ones.
Yeah, but so the first one was at the beginning, or towards the beginning, when the gang when the gang robs Ambrose's carriage, he just kicks one of them in the balls, and the guy's like vomiting blood for like a full 10 seconds.
I don't remember.
And then, yeah, at the end of the movie, Johnny has like these knives in his boots that he uses and just kicks a vampire in the balls, which kills the vampire.
I guess, yeah. And all this would make me think there was like a Friends episode where Joey accidentally gets kicked in the balls by Rachel. Anyway, From Dusk Till Dawn, the Friends edition.
How do we keep tying everything into Friends?
I don't. It's just because I've been watching it recently. That's probably why. It's because I mentioned it during Blade Runner. That's why. It's very easy to connect it to Friends, I guess. I don't know. And yeah, another thing I wrote was, wait, so Pancho Villa is in this movie too? What the fuck is going on? He's not really in it that much, though, to be fair. He's only in, like, a couple of scenes.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I almost didn't realize it was Pancho Villa at first. I was just thinking of the Mexican bandits from Treasure of the Sierra Madre, which there's even a reference to that movie in this, because Danny Trejo says at one point, "We don't need no stinking brushes."
Yeah.
Ambrose Bierce, he's just in this like carriage with these missionaries. And he's hallucinating because he's been drinking.
Yeah.
And then their carriage gets attacked
by good old Johnny Madrid and his gang.
Yeah. Johnny Madrid. That's a pretty good name. Oh my god. This is a lot of action again. Have we mentioned that this movie is a Western yet? I feel like we haven't mentioned that yet. Because it's very, very subtle. Some pretty bad acting in this.
Yeah.
Especially from Jordana Spiro. She was just bad. Like, her accent, she was trying to do this, like, southern accent, but it just didn't...
It was not good.
It didn't sound quite right. It was a little bit more convincing than Nicolas Cage's southern accent in Con Air, though, I'll give it that. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
Back in the box.
And then again, the dialogue isn't that great either. So,
yeah.
I mean,
and by
a lot of this, there's just so much of them just wandering around in the desert.
Yeah, they all wander in the desert in different directions for a while, and then all end up at the Titty Twister from the first movie.
Yeah, the vampires take quite a while to actually show up.
And when they get there, Danny Trejo is the only person there.
Yeah, Ambrose Bierce, like, shows up at the end and meets Danny Trejo. The bar's not... I don't remember seeing a sign saying that the bar's called the Titty Twister.
So, they have a different sign that's put up... hold on, I have it down
then again,
somewhere.
It's like
the
1900s. I mean, why would they call it a Titty Twister?
So it says La Titila... Okay, so first of all... I don't speak Spanish, so I'm probably going to butcher this. But it says La Titila del Diablo, which means the titty of the devil.
Ooh, that's a much better name for a bar than... I'm not going to lie. That's a much better bar name.
Call it the Devil's Tit.
The Devil's Tit, yeah. Occasionally there's some good camera shots, but the cinematography in this, it was about on par with the second movie. I mean,
yeah.
Again, direct to video. And yeah, I was just waiting for these two plot lines to intersect.
And they really don't until like 20 minutes before the end of the movie.
Yeah, and honestly, I was finding the Ambrose Bierce stuff a lot more interesting than the other plot line. Partly because Michael Parks is a pretty good actor, I think.
And this movie, even before all the vampire stuff goes down, it's a lot more violent and gory than the second movie was. Because during the scene where they're trying to rob the carriage, the one carriage driver gets his face blown off.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It went by so quick though. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was pretty bloody.
it was really jarring.
I actually had to like go back because I was like, wait a second, did a dude's head just explode or something? What was that?
Because it wasn't just his head; it's like the front of his face came off. It was
Yeah.
like I was a little shocked after watching the second one, jumping into this one.
Gore was a little bit better than in the first one. I will give it that.
Hmm.
Not the first one. Sorry, it was a little bit better than the second one. Yeah. The gore in the first one was a lot better. Then again, the first one has all that CGI in it. And then at the bar, they meet this vampire lady, and at first, I thought that her character was Salma Hayek's character from the first movie.
Hmm.
But apparently I was wrong. This is a different character.
Yes. But later she basically ends up bringing Esmeralda, who's the Hangman's daughter, into the vampire cabal, and she becomes the Selma Hayek from the first movie.
Santanico Pandemonium, which
Pandemonium.
Which we didn't mention that name, but that's honestly a pretty good character name.
It is.
But the vampire in this movie, she looked kind of like Morticia Addams.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, I was just the minute I saw her, I was like, okay, she's a vampire. Like, it was way too obvious that she was a vampire in this. Just like the makeup and like the costume, I was like, oh my god, like,
yeah.
Maybe I've seen too many vampire movies. I don't know. I thought about making a vampire movie actually, but I need to get some of the details worked out. And again, the dialogue in this, not that great. And same as in the second movie, it's just not that great.
Yeah.
Stinking brushes. The two missionaries, they get led to their room, and on the way there, they're just walking by this orgy.
Gigantic orgy.
There's like this orgy going on. And then they get attacked by a bat. I also wrote in my notes at this point, I wish there was more Tamora Morrison in this.
I know, he's the best part of the movie. He shows up like every 15, 20 minutes, does something awesome, and then leaves.
That's kind of what he's like in The Mandalorian, now that I think about it. You know? Or hell, even in Attack of the Clones, that's kind of what he's like. Because he's not in Attack of the Clones that much. He's in it more than in this, though. Oh yeah, there's an orgy. I just wrote, there's an orgy. Ambrose Bierce meets this guy in the bar who recognizes him.
And like he knows his work.
Yeah, he's like talking about Occurrence at Owl Creek. He summarizes the story right to his face, which I mean, do people usually do that? They're like, "Oh, I know you. You're the guy that wrote and then just summarized their entire story in like a few sentences." Like, has somebody ever done that with like George Lucas or Steven Spielberg, where they've just gone up to him? Oh, you're the guy that did that movie where the shark is attacking the island, and then they have to go kill it. And yeah, the main characters, they finally make it to the bar around the halfway point.
Yeah.
So at this point, I was wondering, okay, is this going to turn into From Dusk Till Dawn?
Not for like another 10, 20 minutes.
Kind of does. They're just, the outlaw that... I didn't really write any character names down except for Ambrose Bierce, because he's Ambrose Bierce. And Pancho Villa, because he's Pancho Villa. And he shows up at the bar and saves the hangman's daughter from the vampire. There's one gore effect I thought was pretty good where this one guy gets stabbed through the mouth in the bar.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty good, I thought. Oh god, this was gross. One vampire starts slurping blood off the floor because okay. And then Tamora Morrison shows up.
And just kicks ass. Like, he's taken out vampires left and right. They're not a problem for him.
Yeah, I was just watching this and going, okay, Tamora Morrison showed up. Can this please just turn into an episode of The Mandalorian or something?
And there was one vampire that he uses like a whip to essentially like cut off the top of its head.
Yeah.
And then like a weird snake thing with a human head comes out of its throat and talks to him.
It says that wasn't very nice, and then he shoots it.
Yeah, like what the hell was that?
The CGI there was pretty bad too.
None of the other vampires did that. Why is this one got like the Jason Voorhees heartworm inside of it?
That was weird. You say heartworm?
Yeah, the Jason Voorhees
like
heartworm.
Jason Goes to Hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. There were parts of this that were kind of reminding me of Jason Goes to Hell, actually. And that's not a good movie either. This was a little more enjoyable to watch than that, though, at least. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Tamora Morrison should have been in a Friday the 13th movie. He should have been the bounty hunter in Jason Goes to Hell. Which then that would be really ironic in hindsight.
Yeah.
Morticia Adams, she gets killed by Tamora Morrison. Things are they just go haywire. There's just a bunch of vampires attacking people. Strobe lights are flashing. It's basically a shitty version of what happened in the first
movie.
Yeah.
Esmeralda gets turned into Santanico Pandemonium.
Okay, there were a few other moments I wanted to mention. One is there's this part where Ambrose Bierce sees a vision of himself.
Yeah, what was up with that? But it's like an evil version of him looking at him.
I guess he writes stuff about ghosts, and now he's singing his own ghost? Like, what? I don't fucking know.
Because it doesn't tie into anything.
There's also a weird part where it changes to sepia.
Yeah, and they're like doing a dance over a bunch of corpses.
Why? Why? I don't. That was so weird. I will say, though, about this movie, right here, it starts feeling more like the first movie than the second one.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too much like the first movie, though, because it just ends up feeling a little derivative because of that. There's just bats attacking. There's a vampire orgy going on, of course.
Yeah.
They wander around with torches. It kind of quiets down for a bit around here. I think I mentioned, when we were doing the first film, I mentioned that the last third of it didn't have enough breathers.
Yeah.
This one had too many breathers because it just slows down to a crawl right around here.
Everybody gets captured again for like a big sacrifice to make Esmeralda fully vampiric.
And they take her to this this naked old vampire in a coffin.
That's supposed to be her grandmother.
Yeah. The hangman's daughter's grandmother. So that was kind of a twist in this. Like, she's part vampire and they need her blood, so they're like trying to do a ritual. Which I was like, okay, that's weird. I didn't expect it to go that direction. And that's why Tamora Morrison's character was trying to track her down and kill her, basically.
Yeah, because he knew that she was a vampire. Because apparently he's been here before?
Yeah, it was kind of confusing. But it makes his character, because before that you're just kind of like, his character's an asshole, but then after that you're like, oh,
Yeah.
actually no, he wasn't. He had a
He was
point.
trying to protect the world from a vampire.
She cuts the grandmother open and then bats fly out. This is also the part where the vampire one gets kicked in the balls and balls get cut off or something.
Cut off by a knife in Johnny's boots.
Jesus Christ, do we really need castration in this movie?
And apparently it killed a vampire.
Apparently, yeah. Tamora Morrison gets turned into a vampire.
And all that he gets for his vampire special effects are like a pair of like fake plastic teeth with fangs.
Yeah, they're those like plastic vampire teeth you could probably just buy in like a Halloween store.
Yeah, for like $1.50.
I've had like several pairs of those. It'd be funny if they were like those glow in the dark ones. Which that's another missed opportunity. Imagine having a movie with Tamora Morrison as a vampire.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been great, yeah. And then the outlaw and Ambrose Bierce, they just go to leave while the sun's coming up. Which does end up killing Morticia Adams, but not the Hangman's daughter for some reason.
She's like hiding around a corner.
I guess they did stab Morticia Adams with like all these like
spikes that were in the door for some reason.
Yeah, I was like wondering if Ambrose Bierce was just gonna die, and then that was gonna be the explanation for why he disappeared. But no, he survives.
And the final shot of the movie is basically them recreating the final shot of the original, where it zooms out and it shows that it's an Aztec temple.
Yeah. And yeah, it just looks like the shot from the first movie. I mean, it's not a bad shot, but it's just like, okay, why did you just copy the ending of the first one there? I mean, that's just the end of the movie. It just ends.
Except for an after-credit scene that neither of us knew about.
I didn't know this. You mentioned it right before we were recording, and I was like, going, well, shit, I didn't watch that far. I was just tired of the fucking movie.
And so here's the ending. Yeah, just a summary of the post-credit scene. Ambrose Bierce survived into modern times and has been telling a patron at a bar the story. As he leaves, Ambrose tells him that he has proof. He then reveals that he was actually bit as they fell outside the bar, and he is now a vampire. He rips the patron's heart out and bites it as the film ends.
What?
Ambrose Bierce was a vampire.
Okay. And he's still somewhere out there. I guess. What? Okay. Also, can I ask? Did you actually watch to the end credits, or did you just get that off of Wikipedia?
I just got that off of Wikipedia. I didn't know there was one until I pulled up the Wikipedia page just before we started.
Yeah. I was gonna say I probably won't watch it, but now I'm like, Vampire Michael Parks. No, not just that. Vampire Ambrose Bierce. I'm kind of curious about this. But
yeah.
Again, I didn't care at that point. I was just like, I don't like this movie. Just end. Okay, so overall thoughts.
It's bad, but it's not as bad as the second one.
That's not saying much, man. It was strange and pretty bad. I will agree with you. It's a little better than the second one. I will give it that.
It had a few more interesting ideas, I think, with it being set in a Western scenario, but I don't think it used the vampires as much as it should have.
Yeah. I did, like I mentioned before, I did like Michael Parks in it.
Yep.
And Tamora Morrison, because, I mean, again,
He's Tamora Morrison.
Yeah, that might be part of why I enjoyed Attack the Clones. Just 'cause, but just about everything else in this movie was just bad. Like, bad acting, especially from the two leads.
Yes.
They just were not good in this. Bad writing. Like, it just wasn't good. I mean, what else do I need to say? However, I will say, when it wasn't trying to be a cheap ripoff of the first movie, it was okay.
Yeah.
Like, I thought making it a Western was an interesting idea.
Yeah.
But the last third of it, I thought kind of sucked. Like, once the vampires showed up, it just kind of went downhill for me. Like, I honestly think it would have been an okay low-budget Western if they hadn't gone that direction. Or
Yeah.
they could have just made better vampires. Because these vampires weren't that great. And that is a criticism I have of the first movie as well, is I just didn't think the vampires were the best. Aside from Selma Hayek. And I will say this, I don't know why he was a character in this, but it did help me learn a little about Ambrose Bierce.
Yeah.
After watching this, I read some of his stories, and I really liked what I found. So there's that. Apparently, one of his short stories inspired the Kurosawa film Rashomon, which I thought was interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm just glad I don't have to watch any more of these fucking things.
Join us next time when we watch the entire 3-season series.
No, we're not doing that. Did I even write? I don't even think I did any trivia for the second movie, I just realized.
Are these movies really worthy of trivia?
I mean, I guess I mentioned Danny Trejo appears in all of them. That's probably about as much trivia as you're gonna get. According to the director, the titty twister was supposed to be seen a lot more than it actually is, but the budget did not allow it.
Huh.
Yeah, because in the second movie, it's only in one scene. When Buck, played by Robert Patrick, recruits CW at the rodeo, he is seen wearing a shirt of the band Filter. Richard Patrick, the frontman of the band, is Robert Patrick's brother.
Huh.
Luther Heggs was Don Knotts' character's name in The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. Nice. That's a weird reference to include in your movie.
Yeah.
Robert Patrick later played the role of Fuller, Harvey Keitel's character from the first film in the TV reboot.
Oh.
I guess I do have something written about the TV show. There was a From Dusk Till Dawn TV show, and it lasted 3 seasons. Which, I'll be honest, that's longer than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I guess there was apparently enough demand for that. Where from? I don't know, but...
Is Ambrose Bierce in any of them?
Robert Rodriguez was involved with it.
Okay.
Tarantino wasn't. The Gecko brothers are in it, but they are not played by the same actors. They were recast. Seth Gecko was played by DJ Catrona, who played superhero Pedro in Shazam.
Nice.
And Richie was played by Zane Holtz, who played Barf Bag in Holes.
Yeah, Barf Bag!
I knew you'd get a kick out of that one. And I guess it's supposed to be their backstories. I haven't actually watched it, so I don't know a whole lot about it. I have heard some of it is a remake of the first movie. but again, I haven't watched enough of it. I haven't watched any of it at all. I thought about it, but I'm like, why do I care? Danny Trejo also appears in it, so again, he's
Good.
like the only person that came back for all of these. He's the Mark McClure of the From Dusk Till Dawn movies. Robert Patrick, Jake Busey, and Don Johnson also appear in it.
Okay.
As well as Jeff Fahey and Tom Savini. So, there's another cast member who's in the first movie that's in the show.
Is he playing Sex Machine again?
No, he's not. Some character named Bert.
Okay.
I've not seen the show, and honestly, after these two movies, I'm not really in a rush to check it out. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with this franchise. It's not on Netflix, so it's not a top priority either. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say about either of these?
Nope, not really.
Next time we're doing From Dusk Till Dawn 4.
Well, we have to make it first.
Wait. What should be the title of it?
Let's see. Well, first of all, we've already decided that we're doing a movie with Jimmy Hoffa in it.
Okay.
So, we gotta... Well, what's a nickname for Jimmy?
Did Jimmy Hoffa have a nickname?
That's what I'm...
From Dusk Till Dawn 4. The Teamsters Kidnappers.
From Dusk Till Dawn 4, the Union Boss.
The Union Boss. From Dusk Till Dawn 4, a more perfect union leader. Good Lord. I mean, really, is it any better than Texas Blood Money or The Hangman's Daughter? Jimmy Hoffa in From Dusk Till Dawn 4. Is there anything else you want to add, or just...
Not really, no. I think it's time to call this one.
Okay, well... next time we're doing,
a movie.
A movie. Until then,
stay rambling.
I guess, yeah. Roll the Andy Griffith.
Good night, you stupid idiot. Good night, you miserable slob.